Retailers around the world are challenged by the current market situation. These challenges require retailers to be cost sensitive, so to look after their costs, building cost-saving programs. Secondly, to build new technical innovations to bind their customers. And third, because of the changing customer buying behavior, the combination of different channels in their omni-channel strategy. But why is it that still lots of retailers are facing their integration challenges by building point-to-point interfaces, which are hard to innovate, hard to reuse, and very, very expensive? And why is it that not so many retailers are using the power of reusing events in the retail business? My name is Benjamin Gottstein. I'm working at Solace as a sales engineer. And in my role, I'm helping enterprises, especially retailers, logistic companies, and CPG companies in getting benefits out of an event-driven architecture by using the Solace PubSub Plus platform. Before joining Solace, I was working for 11 years at Europe's largest retailer, the Schwarz Group. You might know them by the retail chains Lidl and Kaufland. And within these 11 years, I was working in different departments all about enterprise integration, enterprise messaging, and the overall integration platform. My last project at Schwarz was that I was luckily part of the team who was introducing Solace and the PubSub Plus platform at Schwarz to build an event mesh, which is combining the multi-cloud and hybrid cloud environment at Schwarz. And a huge thanks to our friends at Schwarz IT and especially Andreas Habel, who allowed us to share one of their unique use cases, which showcases the power of reusing events in retail perfectly. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it today, but it's great that they share their use case with us, and I'm really looking forward to showcase this today with you. So what do we have planned? First of all, we are speaking about why it makes sense to rethink and reuse events right now. What is the current market for that? Secondly, we speak about how Solace topics will help to leverage the reusability of events. Then we talk about a unique concept at Solace, which is the topic hierarchy, allowing you to reuse events very efficiently. And then we talk about the customer use case from Schwarz Group, showcasing how this could look like in a real-world scenario and play together to gain new business benefits. And lastly, we'll look into the future. What's next at Schwarz Group? What do they have planned for their upcoming projects? So why does it make sense to rethink this whole thing now and to leverage the power of reusing events in retail? As stated in the beginning, the current market requires for retailers to look very tight at their costs. We have inflation, we have higher energy costs around there. So it's very, very crucial for retailers to reuse their data and use their data efficiently, which they already have, and be more efficient also in their internal processes and how they do, for example, integration. Secondly, we have new technical challenges coming around because retailers are building new offerings to stay competitive in the already competing retail market. They want to implement things like e-couponing or loyalty programs, which require multi and hybrid cloud setups and completely new use cases. And lastly, the buying behavior changed significantly since COVID especially. So customers of larger retailers are tending more to buy online and requiring the combination between an offline store and an online store, which is crucial in these days. So why I'm saying this and why I'm talking about this, we believe that reusing events in an EDA powered by Solace can be an answer to these challenges retailers have these days. How? We will talk about exactly this topic today. Also, McKinsey states this in their latest industry research about challenges in retail. Again, here in the center is this omni and any channel concept. But if you look at it, it's not easy to implement. And I think most of you know it maybe by themselves. If you're an enterprise architect, for example, you probably talk about this topic or implementing it already. What I want to highlight here is one step to get to an any channel and omni-channel experience is to integrate all applications into one event-based system. And that's exactly why we are here today. And I would argue even it's more than that. And the more is to be able to reuse those events, which we will discuss today. So again, we talked already about events and reusability, but do retailers even have events in their processes? And if yes, where? I want to showcase how many business processes are empowered by events at larger retailers. So you can see that they are really everywhere in all business lines. So let's start at the bottom. Let's start at the supply chain management. Supply chain is full of event-driven use cases. Think about route and tour planning. Think about a real-time stock, which needs to be accurate so that the customer knows thing is still viable in the store. Again, store is a good word, because in the store, and out of the store, there are tons of use cases which are again empowered by EDA and by events. Just think about sending product master data to your position systems, or think about your sales data, which is being sent out of the store and needs to be reused by lots of different systems. Remember this one, because we will talk about exactly this use case with the Schwarz use case later on. Then if we look into the HQ, again, here we find lots of different processes which are empowered by event-driven architecture. For example, within the recruiting, so the typical hire and retire use case is full of asynchronous events, but also something like a couponing use case or loyalty program is empowered by that. And lastly, the financing, I put it on a separate box here because finance is very heavily integrated into all those different business processes we already talked about. And this whole thing, this whole integration of these processes comes with many, many challenges, like app modernization, like hybrid and multi-cloud, which are all required for retailers to still be innovative and still be relevant at the market. And unfortunately, what we see a lot is that this integration demand is still implemented like this, with many point-to-point interfaces, which are very hard to innovate, which are expensive, and which are hard to operate. And at the end of the day, are a huge cost factor also for lots of retailers. We believe we can do this differently in a more reusable and a more cost-efficient way, and that's with so-called Solace topics. So let's talk about why Solace topics can help to empower the reusability of events and build new business use cases for retailers. But before that, let's talk about what an event actually is. I think this is very important because you all might have an idea of an event, and sometimes we forget to talk about what really is an event in the real world life, right? And what's funny is that our life is full of asynchronous events. Think about you as a customer buying a product at your favorite retail store. This would be an event. Think about a high temperature detected in a motor at a factory. This would be an event. Think about a passenger which boards a flight a little late. This could be an event. And again, our whole life is full of events. Think about someone rings your doorbell. Again, this would be an event. And what do we do with these events? We send them out and we allow other persons, or in this case, applications, to react on those events, to do something with them. And as you can see here, in most cases, it's a one-to-many and not a one-to-one use case. And once those systems receive these events, they can react on them, do something with them. So just for example, you want to update your inventory once a customer bought a product. Typical use case for an event which is coming into the inventory system. Nevertheless, this also requires some new challenges retailers and especially architects are having. And this is, those events are global in nature. They're mostly hybrid cloud. They have diverse technologies which they need to combine. And what's very important is to have them reusable, that they are described somewhere and that they are simple to understand and really usable at the end of the day. And this is where the Solace event mesh comes alive and helps to make exactly this happen. Now we talked about what an event is in general. Nevertheless, there are different types of events around there. First of all, we have 3 different notification types. The one everybody knows is the notification only. So you just get a notification, hey, something changed. You might get a business object key, but you don't have the data in the event and you don't have the metadata, so you don't know what exactly changed. And you need to have a callback to the actual source system to get the data. Secondly, you have the notification and metadata event. In this case, you know what changed. So for example, address changed for a certain customer, but you don't know the data which changed. So you don't know the new street, for example. Again, you need a callback scenario here, but again, this is quite good for tight control of content if you want to have this in place. And the last event, and I guess this is the one we are talking mostly about when it's in retail enterprise application use cases, this is notification and data. So in this case, you will get the actual data which changed. So you get the address, you get the street, you get everything you need to know at a consuming system to be able to react on this event. There's a 4th type of event, which all of you who are using async API are aware of. It's the command event. In this case, you can send an event to a system and the event is doing something with it based on your command. So sending something to someone else or anything else you could imagine about. So this is also possible, of course, to have this as an event. We recommend to use either or combine those events dedicated for your use case. So it really depends what you want to do, and then you can pick the right event type. Enough about events. Let's talk about Solace topics. Solace topics are a unique concept at Solace, and a topic in Solace is part of the event itself, as you can see on the slide. The interesting thing is that a topic in Solace is not an object on the broker, as you might imagine, because you know it from other solutions doing it that way. A topic in Solace is just a string, which is part of the event, and is defined by different levels. So you have a hierarchy. And this hierarchy allows to put in many different properties, many different metadata information you want to use for routing, for reusing, for filtering your events. And this is pretty unique because you have 128 levels, which you can add to your topic and describe your event to really gain this benefit of reusability, because you can filter on each and every of these different levels. Again, I said it's not an object on the broker, it's just a string on the event. I like to compare it sometimes with a hashtag like in social media. So you put just as many hashtags on your event as you need to be able that other systems can get the relevant data they need to receive. So what about this? What you could do with this? I brought a little example to showcase which routing capabilities and reusing capabilities these Solace topics can generate. So have a look here. I brought a topic which is defined by a country, a store number, and an object type level. And based on these 3 levels, you can already build different routing use cases on your subscription, which are located on the broker. So you can, for example, subscribe to all events from Germany, which is DE in this case. You can subscribe to all day-end transactions from all countries and all store numbers, or you can subscribe to the store range, which is starting with 1, and you get everything for all countries with the store range 1 and with all object IDs. And this is really, really a nice and good example to showcase how this routing can help to get the right data at the right time, anywhere where you'd like to get it. Doesn't matter if it's in the cloud, if it's on premises, or wherever you need it. The event mesh makes that possible. So enough about the topic theory. Let's now talk about something which we believe is empowering the reusability of events. And this is the topic hierarchy. As I showcased, a topic is defined by different levels. And those levels are very important to build a routable, filterable, and subject to predefined governance rules topic, which allows you to reuse events. But what does hierarchy actually mean? We all know it from our daily life. If you open a website and you have your URL typed in, it's nothing else. This is also on hierarchy. Or if you're on a file system, working on a file system, you start at root and then you just drill down to the different folders. Nothing else is a topic in this case. So it's quite similar to these examples. And we at Solace, as you can imagine, we work with different companies from different industries. And we got lots of questions. How should we build our topic hierarchy? What would you recommend? What should we take care of? And based on all these insights and the knowledge we gained over this time, we built a Solace best practices for topic hierarchies. And I want to now highlight some key facts out of these best practices, because I believe they will help also many other companies building their topic hierarchy and leveraging the power of reusability with events. So the most important thing from my perspective in the Solace best practices for topics is that you distinguish, that you separate your topic string in two parts. The first part is the so-called event topic root. It's obligatory for all publishers in your event mesh. It's quite general, so it contains just enough information to map the data to the schema. So to map the event to a certain schema. So we recommend, for example, to have a domain, an object type, a verb, and the version of the event, and that's it. Easy as that. And then you add, based on this event topic root, as many event topic properties as you need. These are optional, and these are unique attributes which could differ per topic root. So, for example, if it's store data, you might want to add a store number, a country, and something like that. But if it's just some master metadata, which isn't necessary for a store, you would not probably add something like this. So this gives you a lot of flexibility and allows you to describe what is in your event exactly. Besides that, the following 4 best practices should also help to implement this in your event-driven architecture. First of all, we recommend to add fields within the topic which add functionality, for example, in routing, in filtering, or in permission management, because you can also build permission management based on that. Then secondly, the most variable items should be at the end, so from generic to specific. Third, and this one is a funny one because we discussed a lot my former time at Schwarz about this one. It's really recommended to add fields to this topic string, even if they're not needed today. So you don't have a routing use case for that today, for example. Add it. The use case will come. In some way it will come, and then you will be happy to have it already there. And fourth, it's very important to describe this topic and all the topics and all the events you're having in your system in an event portal so that they are transparent and they're reusable for other departments, for example. And based on these best practices, and again, what's very important, these are best practices. You can do it differently if it makes sense. And you will see Schwarz did it differently because we had back then good reasons to do so. Nevertheless, they should give you some guidance and some tips. And what I really recommend is this separation between the topic root and the properties. This will help you a lot in your daily business. And by that, you get a lot of benefits. I will not talk about all of them on that slide, but especially routing, filtering, and governance are implemented by that so that you can reusing events, as we will now see in the Schwarz use case. Before we look into the use case, let's quickly talk about who Schwarz Group is. Schwarz Group is Europe's largest retailer. They have about 156.8 billion euro revenue in year 2022. They're running about 13,000 stores worldwide in 33 countries. And they also have a very growing online business with an online shop. You might know them mainly, I guess, due to Lidl, but also from Kaufland. Nevertheless, as it states here, diversity is their strength. What does it mean? Schwarz Group also has a huge part in their own production. So they're producing their own goods, the bottles where the water is in is produced by themselves, etc. And also they're having a new business with their removing and recycling company to being able to recycle all the goods and having an A to A life cycle of all their goods they're producing. And Schwarz Group had one challenge, and the challenge was that, you as a customer, you're visiting, for example, Lidl, you're buying something, and you're getting your receipt just as a printed out receipt, right? But behind this receipt, there's a lot of very important data. What was sold, which price, how many articles, and so on. So you can imagine a lot of different systems need to react on this event. And this is a typical event, as stated before, in near real time. And what Schwarz Group did, they thought about, okay, let's use the event mesh and let's use a reusable topic hierarchy to build this in a very new way, which saves them money and helps them to reduce the development time. So let's have a look how they build this architecture. All their 13,000 stores are connected to their Solace event mesh, which is a combination of on-premises brokers in their private cloud and brokers in public cloud like Azure, Google, and their own public cloud StackIt, which they are launching right now for especially the European market. And every sales data event, so every receipt which is getting generated, is being sent to this event mesh and is being reused by over 10 consumers in real time. And the consumers are, they could, as you can see on the slide, some of them are deployed in Azure, in Google, or in StackIt, and they have definitely different business purpose. Like, for example, the ERP system is getting it, the customer loyalty app is getting it, the digital payments is getting it, and so on. Just this setup helped Schwarz to reduce their dev time significantly, especially for new use cases, which we'll talk about today, and also ensured that the value of these events, of these sales events, can be leveraged in many different applications. So how does the data topic hierarchy look like for the sales data at Schwarz? This is just an example to see how it could look like in a real-world scenario based on the best practices. So you can also see Schwarz is using an event topic root defined by a domain, company, application ID, and the event type. The T here stands for topic because they also have queues, which is queue. And then they have a property section, which has many properties to describe the sales data. For example, they have the store number, they have the country, which data format is it original or transcoded, which transaction type is it, or which sub-transaction type is it. And from a guideline perspective, Schwarz Group has defined that everything is lowercase for simplicity, and the event property is always specific to the topic root. And again, they have this special property for the edge integrations for store and warehouses to route events successfully. So what are they able to build with this setup and with this type of topic hierarchy? The first use case I want to present is the Lidl Plus app. You might know it as a customer from Lidl. If you scan your app while paying, you will get a digital receipt in real time. This is powered by the event mesh, and this is a reusable event being sent to the event mesh as shown before. And based on that, of course, you can also get individual coupons based on your buying behavior. The next use case is pretty interesting because the next one is not just innovation and customer experience, it's a regulatory compliance use case. Many retailers having the use case right now, the regulatory use case, to send digital copies of their sales data, of their receipts, to the government of certain countries, like it was in Romania last year. And this law was applied at 17th May 2022 and came alive at 1st July 2022. So just 1.5 months to be able to implement this and be able to send the sales data to the Romanian government. Just by the reusability and by the topic hierarchy with the different properties, Schwarz was able to build this way, way faster than before and was able to do this in a governed way, meaning the tool which is doing that is just allowed to receive the Romanian sales data events, not the other countries. And again, is able to receive just the events which are relevant for this use case, because Schwarz is sending lots of different types of sales data events. And as you saw in the topic hierarchy, they're part of that topic hierarchy, so they can filter by them. And that's what they're actually doing. So that's a great use case to showcase how the reusability of already existing events helps not just in innovation, but also in something like this where you might would pay huge amounts of money if you're not able to fulfill this law. And this law is also valid in other European countries, as the retail experts of you might know. The last use case I want to share is one which shows, again, the cost efficiency which can be generated by reusable events. And this is the electronic shelf labeling use case. You might saw it in your Lidl store or Kaufland store. There are some electronic shelf labels, especially in the fruits and vegetable area. And before they had this in place, you can imagine if you discount articles, especially the fresh articles in the evening, someone has to print them, someone has to exchange all these different price tags at the shelves. Took a lot of time, took a lot of money. Now Schwarz is using, again, those reusable sales data events to make this happen in real time. How is it done? Someone in the store is using the digital device, so-called MDE, changes the price there. This triggers a sales data event with the price change. This event is being sent to the electronic shelf label system, which updates the price on the shelf labels, but is being, again, reused by their ERP system. So the ERP system knows this article has a new price and is able to work with this new price from that moment on. And again, this helped Schwarz a lot because they were able to reuse those events and they were able to send them in real time to their stores, updating their electronic shelf label system and reducing a lot of costs and a lot of time which was needed before. To summarize it again, Schwarz is using the Solace event mesh to send, of course, not just the sales data, but the sales data use case showcases the power of reusability empowered by the topic hierarchy Solace topics implement. But again, a lot of things are ahead. And one of the biggest things Schwarz is working on right now is their async API portal. As I stated, it's important for those events to be reusable, and to be reusable, the topic hierarchy is a great way to do that. But again, you need to know how is the hierarchy defined, which properties can I assign on, and all that stuff. And that's the reason why Schwarz is heavily working on this async API portal, to have an API catalog, to have it self-serviced within approval workflows, and to make even the whole integration part and the onboarding part more efficient than it is today. If we look back to the beginning of this talk, we talked about challenges in the market for retailers. I believe that the reusability of events can help to tackle some of these challenges and are a great way to react on new innovation, to have a cost-efficient way to implement integration, and last but not least, to be able to react on government use cases very agile and very fast. I want to thank you for listening to my talk, and I'm really looking forward to get some information back from you. If you want to contact me, my mail is listed here. And again, a huge thanks to our friends at Schwarz, especially to Andreas, who was sharing all those use cases and was very open with us. That's how we work together with customers at Solace. I love it. That's, working in a very partnership way, and a huge thanks to Andreas.